In 1825, Russia, after Alexander I, Nicholas declared himself the king. Some people could not tolerate this, and the liberals revolted against Nicholas. With full force, Nicholas crushed their rebellion and sentenced one of the rebels, Conder Railey, to be hanged. When Railey was being hanged, the rope broke for some reason. At that time, such events were considered divine signs or miracles. After the rope broke, Railey said, "See, nothing in Russia works properly, not even making ropes." A messenger took news of the broken noose to Nicholas. Usually, a person was not hanged again under such circumstances, and Nicholas started writing a pardon for Railey. Meanwhile, he asked the messenger if Railey said anything after the rope broke. The messenger recounted the incident and told him how Railey mocked Russia. Hearing this, Nicholas stopped the pardon and said, "Oh, he said that? Let's show Railey how things are properly done." The next day, Railey was hanged again, and this time the rope did not break. Words are very important and deep. Once spoken, you cannot take them back. Therefore, think before you speak, as your words can either save you from trouble or put you in trouble. And this is the fourth law of power from the 48 laws of power. Always say less than necessary. When you are trying to impress someone with your words, remember, the more you talk, the more ordinary and uncontrollable you appear. No matter how trivial your words are, if you keep them sparse and vague, they will take on a mysterious and significant form. Powerful people show the power and significance of their words by speaking less. The more you try to speak, the more likely it is that you will say something foolish. Annius Marcus, also known as Coriolanus, was a great warrior of ancient Rome, who led Rome to many victories and saved cities from great troubles. By spending most of his time on the battlefields, very few people knew Coriolanus closely. In 454 BC, Coriolanus decided to leave the battlefields to pursue a political career, running for a high council position. In his initial speeches, he displayed his wounds and recounted his 17 years on the battlefields, his actions demonstrating his dedication and patriotism. Many were moved to tears by his stories. Despite the length of his speeches, his reputation as a formidable warrior rallied many supporters, making his victory seem assured. However, on election day, Coriolanus addressed the assembly from a stage set for distinguished patriots and senators. The common people, witnessing his excessive confidence, were taken aback. During this speech, he catered exclusively to the wealthy and nobles. Considering himself entitled to victory, he made strange jokes about patriotism. His words clearly showed arrogance and pride. In the same speech, he began to insult his opposing representatives. He made big statements about how he would make Rome a paradise for the rich. The only difference from his other speeches was that this time, people were listening attentively. With a single speech, Coriolanus shattered his image as a great warrior. To the common people, he was now just an arrogant show-off, concerned only with the rich. Coriolanus' speech quickly became infamous throughout Rome, and people made sure that Coriolanus did not win in any way. And that's what happened. Coriolanus lost. Defeated Coriolanus returned to the battlefields, with hatred for the people in his mind. A few weeks later, a shipment of grain arrived in Rome, and the senators decided that the grain should be distributed free among the common people. But at the same time, Coriolanus came there and convinced the Senate that distributing the grain among the common people would not benefit the city, but rather harm it. Now the Senate were confused and stopped this decision right there. Coriolanus didn't stop there. In some upcoming speeches, he targeted democracy. He tried to convince the senators that democracy was a disease for society and advocating for all power to be concentrated in the hands of the patricians and nobles. This made people so angry that riots started in the city. Under pressure, the Senate decided to distribute the grain to calm the public. However, some still demanded an apology from Coriolanus, who stubbornly refused. This only escalated the anger, leading to calls for his execution. Eventually, he was ordered to be thrown from the Tarpeian Rock, but influential patricians intervened, and his sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. When people found out that Rome's great warrior would never return to the city, they celebrated on every street, and these celebrations were much bigger than their victories over Rome's enemies. So where did Coriolanus go wrong? Before entering politics, Coriolanus had a name that everyone feared, but respectfully, his victories in wars were testimony that Coriolanus was a great and brave warrior. No one knew him closely, so only stories about him were famous. But when he opened his mouth, his image of greatness vanished. He praised himself like ordinary soldiers and insulted his enemies. These things showed people his instability and fear, and for the people, Coriolanus was no longer the great warrior. When people saw his true nature, they could not bear it. The more Coriolanus spoke, the more he lost his respect. If Coriolanus had controlled his tongue, he would neither have provoked people nor ruined his life. If he had shown calmness and stability from the beginning, he would have easily won the elections and maintained his powerful and respectful demeanor, and perhaps he would have been successful in his dictatorial intentions. The human tongue is an animal that very few can control. If you can't control your tongue at right time, you can be a huge trouble for yourself. A Japanese legend says that saying something foolish can be more harmful than doing something foolish. Power is often a game of appearances, and the less you talk, the more powerful you will appear. Silence makes the other person anxious. Therefore, it's crucial to control not just what you say, but also what you intentionally reveal, protecting your true intentions. Also, be careful when joking and being sarcastic especially. For a moment's happiness, you insult the other person, and perhaps your words will make them your enemy forever. Because even if your words are hollow, they have the capacity to tear someone's heart. But being silent all the time can also prove to be foolish, especially in front of our superiors. Remaining silent in the presence of a superior might increase their suspicion and inadvertently provoke their authority. At times, appearing simple or naive can actually protect you, allowing your superiors to feel more intelligent and in control. Sometimes, by saying foolish things, you can stay safe from your superiors and make them feel intelligent and powerful. Act like a fool and think like a brilliant. That's why your words are so important. But always remember, whoever wastes the value of his words can never achieve power. A person who cannot control his words cannot control himself, and this does not make him worthy of respect.